So Jesus uses wonderful little short stories and short sayings to make his point to his listeners. He follows the rabbinic tradition where he has different levels of meaning and he shares the story differently between the crowd and then those ones who have been called out. He offers the crowd a superficial guidance. In a sense, this is what they can hear. This is what they can embrace. And it is not about whether they are intelligent or not. Oftentimes it has to do with the readiness of persons, whether they're ready to hear. Because when we aren't ready to hear, it doesn't matter how it is said. We just don't hear. And so Jesus, knowing this, holds back on his deeper expressions for those who he called out. He called them out. They came and they are participating in his working with them to bring them to the next level before he sends them out. The very short words that Jesus gives us this morning is worth our pondering. One doesn't light a lamp and put it under a bushel basket or under the bed, but one puts it on a lampstand. When one does this work, when one makes the effort to go deeper, the intention must be that we are doing this not just for our own benefit. We're not doing this just for our private and personal growth. But there is that sense in which we understand that our growth benefits the world. The more we become our true selves, the more we're able to impact the world in which we live. Impact it for a good purpose. Because in reality, we're all impacting the world. Our very presence has an influence on the world. But the question always is, what is the nature of that influence? By now we would all accept that we are balls of energy. And energy doesn't reside in one place, one location. It moves about. And hence, our energy intertwines with the energies of others and it gives the resultant energy pattern. So, there is the sense in which we are being invited to be conscious of our energy, and as we are seeking to be conscious of that energy, as we're seeking to be light, we then have to recognize that it is not a selfish undertaking, but that it is for the larger whole. Jesus also talks about receiving. If we have little and we are content with little, there's a good chance that we will lose even what little we have. But if we are interested in receiving much, then that attitude towards receiving will be rewarded, and there will be greatness afforded us. Somewhat parallel to the parable of the talents, where one fellow was content to bury his talent, while the others went out and intentionally sought to increase theirs. We're told that even the one that he had was taken from him and given to the one who had done a good job. These are all short statements to help us remember larger issues, larger works, because it is important that we are constantly reminded of this path and what is required of us on this path. He tells a story of how one plants and one doesn't know how the seed that one plants becomes a grain. But there's an expectation that once it's planted in good soil, that it will burst open, stalk, then bud, and then the ability to have fruit from it. It's an understanding within nature. And in a sense, man is not intended to be any different. Humanity is the same in terms of the unfolding of creation. So we have been planted, and we may not know the process, but the expectation is that we will bear fruit. And so, again, our task now, as the task is with the seed, because the seed has within it locked up all the necessary information for becoming a full-grown plant. And you and I have within us locked up all the necessary information to be the full-grown spiritual divine self that we are. The plant is unhindered. The plant is not distracted. The seed flows and it follows the path. What of ourselves? What of the path that God has laid down for us? We can use our free will to align ourselves with this path. Or we can use our free will to create our own path. These little sayings of Jesus are very pertinent for us as we journey. And today I want to encourage us to give some thought to these statements. As Jesus tries to highlight the naturalness of life around us and how everything is showing up in the way it is intended to show up. How everything is being used for the purpose for which it was created. And the reality that humanity is no different. There is a purpose in our making. And it is important for us to not only discover that purpose, but to allow that purpose to unfold in our lives, in order that the fruit may be born and that great things may occur. So then, hear our Savior. Hear our Savior as he encourages us in his words. When he says, if you have ears to hear, then hear. In private, he explained everything to his inner circle, his disciples. He explained everything. Allow yourself to be called out. Allow yourself to flow like the plant from one stage to another. Allow yourself to be like the lamp, which when lit is placed in the obvious place where it benefits everyone. Don't keep it to you. Don't hide it. But let it be made manifest.